Did you know what I went through? Do
Yeah.
you know the pain that they put me through? And it justified how I treated you.
That's why many people cannot work with you. That's why many people cannot understand you, because
You're not qualified to speak with Maksim. Like, this is a high-level guy.
I want to grow myself in your heart. Because after I'm done here, if I'm on a plane and die, one day you're going to be driving in your nice Rolls Royce.
I would blame my parents, my environment for why I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I would treat people poorly because of it.
How would we be developing agriculture on Mars if we move there?
Welcome back to the Ryan Zofe experience. I am actually really excited for my next guest, Maksim Asenov.
It's good to be here.
No, brother, the pleasure is mine. I have to say, you are such a handsome man. Just your presence, your aura, I mean, your outfit is insane, dude. And thank you so much for being here and spending time with me.
It's a real privilege and a real honor. And I felt connected to you from the first moment I met you. Team Story introduced us to each other. And I knew that we'll be doing some things together, both now and the future. So it's great to be here. And that's just my European looking style. You know?
I love it. I love it. You and your wife, beautiful family, incredible, man. You know, I'm so grateful that God continues to just put incredible human beings on my path. I've been able to establish an incredible relationship with God, and I feel like God has favored me in so many ways in life. And when I sit here and I reflect on the human beings that I have relationship with, I'm just so grateful. And I love who you are as a human, who you are as a father, as a husband, and as a man of faith. I think it's very special because you could do so many other things in life, and you choose this life to serve others, to serve your family, and to even serve me, and to be here and take your time. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And again, it's a big privilege, because when you really get to experience life, like you get to experience an amazing life, you're very successful at what you do. I get to experience an amazing life and work with some people who are high performance in their career, in their life. You realize that the higher you go, the more you need faith and the more you need to be grounded. It's almost like going up at a high mountain. They always tell you this. The higher you get on the mountain, you have to stick to the mountain. You have to keep your body close to the mountain. You have to stay really grounded, because the winds up there are different.
Yeah.
The temptations, the tests, the difficulties. So for me, it's a great honor to be able to serve people at all levels. I like to work with people from the inner city, with people who are in dire straits, and then with people who are very successful. It gives me a different reality of life,
Sure.
to be doing a funeral in the morning and then to be sitting at coaching someone who is worth hundreds of millions in the evening.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting experience.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And so what would you say are some of the distinctions that these high-level entrepreneurs or actors or athletes are looking for in you as their mentor?
I think the big thing right now, and the big thing that has distinguished me through the years, is authenticity. And I think that's what really our world is looking for right now.
Wow.
Like, people connect to you because you're very much yourself. You're not trying to be like Tony Robbins or like someone else. And I was at your speech in Aspire. I actually stayed just because I really wanted to listen to you. And it was so amazing.
Wow.
And so creative. I don't think that I've heard someone present in that exact way. You were using music and storytelling and a completely different approach to adding value. Wow. Obviously, you were going from your story to your lessons. Then you were even taking people to almost like a spiritual place when you did that exercise of getting them to forgive, getting them to release. It was just so powerful. Wow. So I think that our world is really striving for someone that is real, because everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying the same thing.
So
like
true.
when you go on social media, you see all of these people, they're like in an echo chamber. They're repeating the same concepts. They're going to the same events. They're talking about the same things, but very few of them actually get to do it.
Wow.
And the reason is they're just a copy of someone else.
Wow.
So I think finding our uniqueness and our authentic selves is one of the big keys, because anyone wants this. Like the little kid growing up in the ghetto, that was me.
Yeah, me too.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Right.
They want to be authentic. They want to see someone who is different.
Be
and
real,
authentic.
yeah.
And then the person who has made it all and can afford it all is also looking for someone who is real and genuine and present.
Sure.
Not just like in their head and thinking about what's my next thing, what's my move, what's my angle, how do I take advantage of the situation.
Wow.
It's so much of that, especially in the Western world. And I think with AI and everything that's happening currently with technology and automation, many people are going to be really out of the marketplace, because the marketplace is going to look more like the culture of China and India and the Middle East, where shaking someone's hand and sitting with someone and having lunch and experiencing their humanity will be the main thing that will be the deciding factor of who you're going to do business with.
Right.
Because everybody's going to get so good or so bad using this technology that the main difference is going to be like, who do you know? Who do you trust?
Right.
Who do you have coffee with? Like,
right.
Who do you see as real and authentic?
Yeah,
so I think that's the major thing for me.
And I feel that with you, and I think that's why I connect with you so quickly. I feel that authenticity. You know, it's interesting. Thank God for good mentorship, right?
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, I'm so grateful that God has put these incredible humans on my path to teach me these lessons. And so Myron Golden teaches me, he taught me this lesson around the essence of God, and teaching from that place. And the essence of God is the character, the nature, the intention of God. And so the character of God, one of them is holy. Holy is unique. Holy is one. And so the more I can identify that God has created me special and unique to me, and I have a 1 in 4 quadrillion chances of being here as a human being, when I start to like unpack that and realize that like I am a gift, and realize that God has made and created me special to impact the world from my perspective, it really took me to the next level. Because I stopped spending so much time worrying about what other people were thinking. I stopped spending so much time trying to fit in or be a people pleaser. And I took all that unhealthy energy and started focusing on myself and like, how can I be more of Ryan?
Yeah.
And so I see that with you, and I really appreciate that.
I think we're really all working on that. Like I journal every morning, and I pray every morning, and I read my Bible every morning, because I am still working through breaking my own limitations that people or environment or the way I grew up have placed upon me, or even breaking my own limitations that come through insecurity or fear. I think we're all dealing with that at any given day. It's just that some are more advanced than others. And to me, coming back to the concept of God's holiness, I think that's a really, really, really big thing, because holiness is like the best way I can explain it is something that is separated. That's what the Hebrew word actually means. It means to be separated. So my wife, she bought a special set of cutlery for special occasions. So it's gold plated. It's like 24 carats of gold plating. It's very beautiful, very special. So she bought it, and she bought it with my card, of course.
Love them for that, right?
But
keep us on the toes.
But she came and told me, like, this is the special set. So this is only like when Team Story comes to our house, or where we have Christmas, or it's like the special set. So one day I was making eggs, and I was looking for, a fork and a knife just to eat. And then I saw the set, and I don't know why, I felt like using it. So I took it, and then my wife came into the kitchen, and she looked at me like she was going to do something bad to me, right? She said,
that unspoken words, right?
That's the special set. That's the set that is reserved for special things. So the word holiness actually means exactly that. To be holy means that you have been reserved, separated for special things. So that's why many people don't use you. That's why many people cannot work with you. That's why many people cannot understand you, because you are not meant to be understood by everybody. You were meant for a special occasion. You were reserved.
I love that.
It's like the donkey in the Gospels. There is this donkey that Jesus used to go into Jerusalem. It says that this donkey was never used before. So this must be the most depressed donkey. Can you imagine it?
Sure.
Seeing all the friends every day, going to work, influencing. They were posting on TikTok.
Right. Selfies.
You know, and then the poor donkey, he was like looking at all of them and saying, when is my turn? But the donkey didn't know that Jesus was coming.
Wow.
It was like God himself was going to use him, it, to get into Jerusalem. So that's what it means to be holy. It means
Sure.
that you were reserved,
I love that.
separated, set apart for a special task.
Sure.
And for you to really do that task, you have to be patient and not to, put yourself in situations where you're used by the wrong people or for the wrong thing or in the wrong environment.
I love that. God's delays are actually God's blessings.
Yes.
And it's so true, because if I were to get the things that I wanted,
Yeah.
I would have sold myself short 100 times over.
Wow.
And so I'm so grateful for that and it's not easy for me. Sometimes I really push that envelope and I really challenge the things that I want. But when I reflect back and look at my life, God was preparing me for moments like this, to be able to be on that Aspire stage in front of 4,000 people and share a message of true transformation.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't me up there. That was God. I was the catalyst of change using God. I felt the Spirit come into me. I felt him speak through me. And I'm just so grateful that I've been able to connect and build that relationship. And as I mentioned to you, and you've the coach in you went ahead and said, not enough, Ryan. I have a pastor friend who runs a church here in Boca, Victory Church, incredible young man, a new lead pastor, and I've reached out to him and I was like limping in like, hey, you think you could kind of coach me through the Bible like once a month? I come in and Maxim's like, no, Ryan, it needs to be once a week. I'm like, all right, dude, all right.
Yeah. I think part of it is, as you already know that, and you're obviously very good at what you do, it's like, it's not even about how much you do, it's about how often you do it. It's like, it's better to pray 1 minute every day than to pray 2 hours once a month. It will give you more value.
Wow, I love that.
So the consistency with all of these spiritual dynamics,
Sure.
to me, is always the biggest key.
Wow.
Because that will build you up much faster and more stable
Sure.
than the other thing.
It's so powerful. You were just saying earlier that you journal every day and you focus on these limitations that we have as humans. And I think that first step is so powerful. The fact that you're even recognizing this, saying like, hey, you know what? Like, I take time to sit down and reflect on my own limitations and see how this is preventing me from showing up. And my look at it is like being of service to God, right? If I'm having limitations, then I'm truly not meeting my Creator's full purpose of what he has in store for me.
Exactly.
When you coach these high-level executives and entrepreneurs and athletes and whatnot, like what do you see as one of the patterns or the main challenges that they are faced with in terms of their limitations?
I think number one is perspective. And one of the greatest values of coaching, having a good coach, is to give you the right perspective, a wider lens, a better lens through which you could see your personal life. Because many times, even these successful people, they're so caught up into the next thing that they want to achieve. So you probably have that.
Sure.
Like, you're thinking about your next big project, which that's what makes you you. That's why you are the successful man that you are. And you should never stop looking at the next thing. But at the same time, you need to realize that however big your dream is, like one of my coaching clients, one of his projects that he's working on is how would we be developing agriculture on Mars if we move there. Like, when he told me that in one of our first coaching sessions, and he's like, he's not just imagining it, he's actually really working on it.
God bless.
Yeah. So when he told me that in one of our first coaching sessions, I was like, I think you should be coaching me, right? You're trying to find out how to solve that problem. But yet, what people don't realize is that you're closer to your next vision or dream than you are from your past. So if you compare your past where you're coming from to where we are right now. Where were you born?
84.
And where?
Where? Here, South Florida.
So South Florida, what part of it?
Boynton Beach, Palm Beach County.
Okay, that's a nice area.
Yeah, reasonable.
Yeah. So you were born there, you grew up there. You didn't think that you would be doing what you're doing right now.
No.
It didn't cross your mind that you'll be, pulling up in Rolls Royces, speaking to thousands of people, having a multi-million-dollar business, getting to meet some of the greatest thinkers and coaches around the world. You didn't think that.
No.
So your road from where you started to where you are currently is a much harder road than your road from here to whatever's next.
Wow, so true.
So it's much easier for you. But most people don't realize that. They don't realize how far they've come.
Wow.
So giving people a perspective also of, hey, you're alive. Like, let's stop for a moment and pat you on the back and tell you that you're alive and be happy about your life and be grateful. And then that will accelerate whatever is coming next.
Wow.
So I think perspective. And then the other thing is when you have the right perspective, you can reframe whatever you're going through and see it in the right light, and then that will help you to also overcome fear. Because that's the issue. Like, the issue is always the same. It's always fear.
Right.
It's false evidence appearing real.
Wow.
That's what fear stands for,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when we talk about a new frame through which you see a new lens, that lens has removed the effects of fear that are blocking you from seeing the true potential that is in your idea or in your next chapter. So that's probably the main thing that we help people by coaching and real conversations, is to get to a place where, okay, I recognize my fear. I recognize that this is where I'm deceiving myself.
Sure.
Because we get, like, human beings are specialists at self-deception.
Right.
We are constantly doing this to ourselves.
Right.
Like, we are
Right.
deceiving ourselves. We are lying to ourselves, basically. So to have somebody who brings truth, like in that book, The Hunger Games,
Okay.
there is a moment where Peter, or Pete, as they call him in the book, he has been saved from the Capitol. But in the Capitol, he had been tortured and brainwashed. So he forgot who he was.
Wow.
And they implanted new memories, and they implanted new ideas, and they implanted a false narrative in his mind. So now he saw Katniss Everdeen, who was the deliverer, and his best friends. She was the love of his life, but he saw them as the enemy.
Wow.
So at one point, while they were going back to the Capitol, he was trying to kill her. The rest of the crew is trying to stop him. And then one night, everybody's asleep, and they're having a conversation. And he says, I think I should stop here. I'm no good. I'm just like, in my mind, you're a killer. You're a bad person. You're what's wrong with this world. And she says, no, but in your heart, you know the truth. And he says, okay, but how can we continue? And she says, just ask me what's real and what's false.
Wow.
So he begins to say, like, I was burning the bread on purpose so that I could give you bread, because you were so poor, you didn't have something to eat, and then we would throw the bread, and that's how I was feeding you. She said, true or false? She says, true. And then he says, you're a machine created by the Capitol to destroy us. True or false? She says, false.
Wow.
Then he says, you love me. True or false? She says, true.
Wow.
So I feel like we sometimes need someone in our life that really loves us and wants to help us,
Wow.
who is not in our business, who does not want to do the same thing we do, who is not in competition with us,
Wow.
right? Who can just be there to say, that's not true, or
Wow.
that's false.
That's powerful. A lot of gems in there. What really stuck out for me, well, a couple things, but one of the ones is I am 100% responsible for my perception of my facts.
Yeah.
Growing up as a kid, I went through a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, a lot of addiction. And for so long, I used to look at that as a deficit. I used to look at that as something was wrong for me.
Yeah.
And I would blame my parents, my environment for why I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I would treat people poorly because of it. And felt justified. I felt entitled.
Yeah.
Because did you know what I went through?
Yeah.
Do you know the pain that they put me through?
Yeah.
And it justified how I treated you.
Yeah.
And once I got to a place of like unconditional love and understanding God's grace for me, understanding that all of that was a gift, and I shifted my perspective, I started to realize that was the stuff that prepared me to have the life that I have today, to be the example for change for those, even at the Aspire Tour, the people that I coach.
If you didn't go through everything you went through, what exactly were you going to talk about at the Aspire event?
Right. Things were great. It was easy. I got to say.
Like, why would we be crying and listening to your speech if your speech was like, hey guys, we're doing good. It's like, of course. I mean, what you went through empowered you to be you.
Sure.
What you went through empowered you to be speaking to thousands of people and inspire them. Otherwise, there will be no inspirational element to your story.
Right. And so it's so cool. You mentioned like just shifting perspective, and and I think the power of that is insane, because there's infinite possibilities that exist. And what I've learned is my perspective has everything to do with the model that was developed through my childhood. The belief systems that were inserted. You talked about inserting beliefs into my mind. Most beliefs that I walked around with on earth weren't even my beliefs. You know, and Myron taught me, if you believing what you be living, you be lying, because it's all a fantasy. It's all made up. You could believe what you want to believe. You could buy into your own lies any day of the week. So you might as well buy the lie that's going to get you the better outcome, or get you closer to God, or get you the results that you're looking for. Because the idea that I'm not good enough, that's not real. The idea that I am good enough, is that real? Who knows, right? Do we really know? We don't know. And so I think the ability to really get people to find the good in life and see the possibilities in life is going to impact tremendously, and I think that's so valuable. And I love that's one of the highlights that you talked about, because that's the biggest challenge that I've had in my life. Is as I've looked at all of my voids, I've looked at what I didn't have, or the insecurities. I mean, even driving in today, like the thought was like, you're not qualified to speak with Maksim. Like, this is a high level guy. He leads thousands of people. He's been doing it for years. Like, what do you have that this guy, you know, what could you bring to the table for this guy? Like, that's the shitty committee that's going on in my head.
Yeah, we all get this.
Yeah.
But you know what? I always say this. Sometimes they get me to train salespeople, and I have a completely different approach to sales. So they're very, very shocked during the coaching process, but then they get really better because I help them become real, even in their communication. But I always tell people, when you are about to sit and talk to somebody, he's as stressed or even more stressed than you about that talk. So even when someone is interviewing you for a job, it's like, that guy doesn't want to do that.
Stress,
Like, he's wondering, will I make the right choice? Will I ask the right questions? He's in his head thinking, how do I come across, right? And that's where I think authenticity is so powerful.
It is.
And that's why being free in yourself and being oriented towards serving others is so powerful, because that's what sets you free from your own stupid little things that, I mean, I was speaking the other day and I'm like, all these people are in the room, Team Story is in the room, all these guys are coming. I'm like, oh my goodness. Here in America you have, I'm not gonna just even name them all, because there's so many great teachers, so many great preachers, so many great leaders. It's like too many of them. And especially in Miami, you have so much. People could go to any event, and they're coming to my event. They're gonna listen to me speak, and Team Story is sitting there and listening to me speak. Of course, I get these thoughts like, oh my gosh, just get your bags and go home. Right. But it's not about that. It's about the one person at that event that is going to hear my story, and for some reason is going to connect to it. And this person is going to believe in themselves more because of my story. And that's why I want to come and bring my story. That's
Wow.
why I want to come and bring my experience. I want to do it so that I can help somebody. And when you speak to people or on stages or rooms, and you stop thinking about who am I, and you start thinking about how do I serve? How do I add value to these people? How do I make their life better? I don't try to grow myself as a brand in your mind. I want to grow myself in your heart. Because after I'm done here, if I'm on a plane and die, God forbid, or
Yeah.
if I never come back to Florida, one day you're gonna be driving in your nice Rolls Royce, you're gonna see a good-looking guy, and you're gonna be like, I wonder what happened to Maxim, because I grew myself in your heart. I was genuine with you, and I had a heart-to-heart connection with you, and that's what excites me. So when you have that approach, that just sets you free from language barriers and all of the insecurities we all fight with.
Sure.
We all fight with it on a daily basis.
So true. So 7th grade, I already failed. So this is my second year trying to pass 7th grade. My family was a complete disaster. I remembered I skipped school, go figure, and my friends pulled out this box underneath my bed, and it was Hooked on Phonics Works for Kids. It was a learning disability program that my parents bought me. And so they were inserting in my head that there was something wrong with me. My friends were making fun of me. My sister passed away with a terminal illness because it was just an unfortunate situation. They say her disease was so rare that it only showed up in Jewish boys. So it was very, very rare disease. And so growing up, I always thought like there's something was wrong with me. And I remembered wanting to become a speaker. I remember November 2019, Tony Robbins came out on stage in front of 15,000 people, and he lit up the room. Wow. And the room went insane. And I was just like, oh my God, one day I want to do that. Wow. And then I started to have all those memories of all the reasons why I'm not qualified to be a speaker, and especially at that level. And thank God for good mentorship, because my mentor says, Ryan, you don't have to be able to articulate your words well. You don't have to have perfect sequence in your sentences. What's going to make you special is you getting on stage and just pouring your heart out. Just letting people see the authentic Ryan. Like, hey, I've been through hell and I made it out. That alone is going to create relatability, connectability. And so I've been doing it for 4-ish years now, and I've started to I've been very consistent. So I'm getting better at my ability to communicate, which I would have never thought I would have gotten here. But thank God for people like you that say like, hey, like just be real, just pour your heart out, have that heart-to-heart connection, like real, authentic love and connection, because that's what we all strive for as a species.
Yeah,
we want that love and connection. And so I really appreciate that, because thank God, I was guided the right way, because if somebody told me that I wasn't qualified or I needed to have it a certain way or I needed to be educated, I mean, to this day, Maxim, I literally couldn't pass a written test. Like if you graded me on a 7th or 8th grade written test, I would flunk it because I still don't know how to write. I'm just now starting to learn how to read. I've been reading, consecutively for the past 4 or 5 years now. Thank God for ChatGPT. But dude, it's wild, because I would have never gotten here if I didn't have the people that just loved me unconditionally and supported me through that journey.
That's amazing. And that's what really matters. To me, that's what really matters in life, because that made you who you are, and now you're giving back to the world. And nobody will come to you and say, Mr. Ryan, show me your diploma, or pass this test now so that you could, speak. Or,
Right.
No, but it's just we create, as you were saying earlier, an idea in our mind, then we believe it, and then we limit ourselves by our own creation. It's like we create a prison, then we get into it, then we lock the door, then we throw the key. It's like,
and then why am I in prison?
like, why do I feel so bad? Like, maybe you should get out of there.
That's so real. And so you're a pastor back in Bulgaria.
Yes.
And how long have you been a pastor?
So we started a church called Awakening a little over 10 years
Oh,
ago
wow.
with my wife. And now we have like, I don't know how many pastors and elders, probably it's like 14 of
Oh,
them,
wow.
because we have a few different places that we do it at. We have it one at the seaside, one in another big city. So I think we have like four.
Oh, wow.
And our role right now is more of the founders. So I speak there obviously a lot, but the real pastors are my team that really spend a lot of time with the people, lead the teams, and do the everyday, day-to-day pastoral work.
I see.
Because, you know, being a pastor is a very, very tough job. So it takes a lot of meetings, it takes a lot of spiritual preparation, a lot of strength in your mind, and you have to really have a good relationship with your base or your core, like your wife, your best friends, your people that you work with. So I'm very grateful that I have an amazing group of leaders that I've built through the years that are really leading our movement now, and that allows me to do more and more of what I'm passionate about, which is expanding and bringing Christ to culture, bringing the ideas of the Bible and the principles of the Bible, but also the person of Jesus to boardrooms, to yachts, to events, and just to represent him the best I can. And so that's exciting to me. That's what I'm doing right
Sure.
now.
And I'm sure it took you some time to get to a place where you can kind of take a step back and be that founding leader.
Yeah.
And you think that's taken, what, about 10 years to develop and cultivate this?
I think that if you want to do something, you have to really define your vision in a very, very clear way. So thankfully, in the very early stages of me starting that, first I started speaking and preaching at the age of 15.
Wow.
So I was speaking in small youth groups, small churches that would have me. And then by the age of 18, I was already speaking in other countries as well, going as a missionary, etc. So when we started the church, I knew that I'm not like a typical pastor, because I always been involved in some sort of a business, entrepreneurship, and I always wanted to be like someone who brings faith to places that most pastors will never go to.
Right.
Like they will not be invited. They're bringing too much of a burden with religion and a different approach to life. So I always wanted to be more of a spiritual leader that crosses the boundaries between church and world and coaching and business and all of that. So because I knew that in my heart from very, very early on, that helped me to build my team and my organizations in a way that I have the right leaders there.
Sure.
So you have to have it in your mind where you want to go, and you have to build that way from the very beginning. So you could say that it took 10 years. And of course, I'm still involved. Like I'm not detached. I'm not, leaving that behind, because I do not want to leave it behind. Like if it's a Sunday, I want to go to church. Like I actually enjoy it, right? Even if I'm not that leader or speaker there. So I help a lot with leadership, with navigating the big vision of what we are doing in Eastern Europe. And it has to do also with a lot of charity. We do a lot of giving back to society and supporting people in difficulties, because Bulgaria is one of the poorest countries in the European Union. So we have been very, very blessed to build a community where we are not only doing well, but we are also giving back.
Wow.
So that allows me to be here, sitting and talking to you, to be speaking. I was speaking in France last week at a big conference. Then the week before I was in Dubai. Then 2 weeks from now I'll be speaking in Israel.
Wow.
Then in May I'll be back to America. So
that's amazing.
I have a great team of leaders who are really running my foundation and the church and some of my businesses too that are in Bulgaria.
I love that. The gift of living is giving, and I've definitely have found that over the most recent years. And the understanding of like what you do and what you've developed and created in Bulgaria is incredible. I think about going from like a business operator to a business owner.
Yeah.
And I went through that transition myself.
It's a tough
And
one.
it was a learning curve.
Yeah.
It was, enrolling high level people and then inspiring them and motivating them and teaching them and shepherding them and allowing them enough room to make their own mistakes and learn from those mistakes and inspire them and mentor them when they do fall down. It was not easy for me because growing up I was very competitive, and a lot of that had to do with not feeling good enough. So I was always trying to prove myself.
Yeah.
And so there was times when I would cross that line of doing it for them rather than allowing them to do it.
Yeah.
And then I can feel this resistance between my approach and their approach, and me thinking that I'm better than them because I can do it better and faster. And so that was definitely a challenge for me. But the relentless pursuit to master that skill has definitely been the journey that I've been on. And I can honestly say now that I have a group of leaders around me that are absolute rock stars that understand execution, understand putting other people first, understanding serving from their heart and not their heads. And they have been instrumental in building and growing the organization that we have today. I think we have over 600 employees.
Wow.
6 programs around the country.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I definitely understand that. But what's interesting is like what I'm doing is like for profit. It's a money maker. So sometimes a lot of the motivation comes from the financial success. Like, how do you find inspiration in the church setting? Because I'm sure a lot of these leaders aren't getting huge salaries and huge bonuses to be leaders in the world. It's like, what's your strategy?
Even me, like, yesterday I did a Bible study. If I was speaking to a company or doing a coaching for 1 hour, I would be making money. I did a Bible study. I wasn't making money. I was just there serving. And then, I encouraged the people to give to someone else. They were not even giving to my organization. I just said, let's give to someone else. Because I really want to move in the opposite spirit, because the spirit of America, and especially Miami, is very much a spirit of like taking advantage. And so I didn't want to be the guy that is like, come to take. I want to be the guy that comes to give. But that creates a problem, because for you to give, you need to get it from somewhere, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I believe that even a non-for-profit should make a profit and function at a professional level with finances. And I believe that having something that is a non-for-profit or giving to something with an ideal cause or goal has to be separate from your business. So for me, to keep things separate has been a game changer, and it simplifies things so much. Because if I'm in my business mode, where I'm here to make money, I'm here to make connections, I'm here to get a deal done, okay, I'm doing that. But then I know why I want to do it. I want to take some resources and move them to this or to that, or to bless the church, or to bless this that I believe in, etc. So I like to have them separated, and I think that helps also like business people to understand that the value they are creating with money is something spiritual. So there is something that Hebrew people say. They say that money is God's applause on a job well done. So when you're making money, you're doing something right.
Wow.
Right? So God is saying, hey, you did something right, here are the money, right? So then you decide, what am I going to do with this money?
Right.
And it's not wrong to have nice things, to live a nice life, but I do believe that that will not fulfill us to the level at which giving back will fulfill us, or helping another cause. So I like to help even business people that are like in a difficult position. And I helped a guy some years back that he was in a tough place, and I coached him, and I was coaching him for free. And one of my guys who runs my coaching business was like, we're giving this guy a lot of time, and he's not going to be able to ever pay. I said, no, we're not doing it for that, we're doing it to help. He said, yeah, but we have that other person and that other person that are on a waiting list. I said, yes, but right now they're on the waiting list, and it's good for them to wait because I need to work with this man. So this man then ended up becoming so wealthy.
Wow.
It's shocking. and he's one of the biggest people like givers to my church. So, you know, I believe that when you are a giver and when you have a heart to help others, things always come back around.
Right.
Right?
So
But
true.
people shouldn't beat themselves up for being more capitalist and more entrepreneurial.
Sure.
Because, you know, that's a different style of solving problems.
100%.
Right? You could solve a problem by taking and cooking a meal and sitting on the corner and giving food. And that would be very nice. I mean, even for your social media, it would probably look very cool. Like,
Right,
look
right.
at this multi-millionaire. He cooked a meal and now he's feeding people.
Right.
But is that the best way to do it?
No.
Because you could just do one transaction, right?
Feed millions of people.
And feed thousands and millions of
Yeah.
people with one transaction. You could do it from your house, right? So I think that sometimes people are looking at things in a too surface level.
Right.
They're not going deeper. So there was this guy in America I heard about the other day. I think Dave Ramsey was saying something about him. It's a billionaire, and the guy gives 90% of his money to charity.
Jeez.
So he lives off of 10%, but he gives 90%. And then he bought a nice Mercedes, right? Like, the guy is so wealthy that a Mercedes for him is like if I went and bought some candy or a burger, right?
Right.
He's a billionaire. So he bought a Mercedes, and then here they come, all these Christian people on his social media, like, you could feed so many people with this
Oh, wow.
Mercedes. Why are you why are you showing off? Like, come on.
Right.
He lives off of 10% of what he makes.
Right.
So most people will never understand us because we're a different kind of tribe. And that's why we are also not like the older or traditional church, meaning like Eastern Orthodox
Sure.
or Catholic.
Sure.
We are more into the Protestant evangelical tribe.
Okay.
Because really capitalism is the grandchild of the Reformation. It was the first reformers who were thinking different. Martin Luther was the one who said, you should do the best shoes if you're a Christian. You should be the best shoemaker in town. He said, if you're a good shoemaker, you shouldn't become a monk. You should become even better.
That's true, yeah.
You should become really professional.
Sure.
So that whole idea is really coming also through the founding fathers of America. And because of culture and the internet, there has been a very strong socialist attack on the capitalist spirit and
Sure.
on the like free thinkers and people who believe in the American dream.
Right.
But I really hope that we can turn this around, because we need these countries.
Sure.
We need these big countries that, I mean, when you change your tires or you fill up your car with gas, your expensive car that uses a lot of gas, right?
Yeah.
You're helping someone.
For
You're
sure.
tipping someone. So that's a different way to serve people as well.
100%. It's so true, and so many people wonder why they aren't able to buy a Rolls Royce or have the lifestyle that we have. And thank God that growing up, my dad always pushed me to be the best at anything I did. Like you said, like if you're a shoe salesman, be the best. If you're a chef, be the best chef. Be the best that you can be. And so my dad always instilled that into my head, and I'm so grateful for that. And so many people don't understand that the way you make a lot of money is you have to become extremely valuable in the world. You have to add so much value that people want to pay you a ton of money. And that's the reality. I mean, if you think about it, you know, we impact 10,000 lives a year in my company.
Wow.
And we're literally taking people that are near death and reviving them, rebuilding their families, giving them a life that they never even knew existed. No wonder why we're making the type of money that we're making, because we're
And
literally.
how much does one life cost? Come on.
Right. It's priceless. I mean, October 8th, 2001, I was proclaimed dead at the scene of a crime. Thank God I had my mom, who ended up getting sober at the time, introduced me to a 12-step program.
Wow.
And I just think about like the level of lives that I've impacted because I shifted my trajectory in life and my impact. And that's where I learned the principle of serving others, because in the 12-step program, the 12th step is having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we carried this
Wow.
message to the next sick and suffering. And so at 16, that was what was instilled in me to give back to the next person. And I've done that for the last 23 years, giving back to the sick and suffering that are struggling, and then being introduced to Tony Robbins, and then applying that principle in all areas of my life. My life exponentially has grown in so many different facets, which is why I'm sitting here. You know, now I've like talked myself through that shitty committee. Now I can see why I'm here, because the work that I've done to get myself here, and just to be able to connect with a beautiful human like yourself that sees life through the same lens of serving others and adding so much value in somebody's life. And you know, it's interesting. My first introduction to Donnie, it's crazy. So my dad, September 2019, my dad had a stroke, and he was never the same again. I was building a house in Delray Beach. Shortly after, the pandemic happened, so everything stopped. I was devastated because my dad was building the house, and the house was connected to him. So I literally just like shut down. I was just unable to do anything. Well, the delay actually worked in my favor because the market increased. So the value of the house increased significantly. So I go to Donnie's church. This was the day Donnie became the lead pastor. So it was like the dad handing off the baton. And Donnie was having a legacy offering. And in that moment, he was looking to raise 50 grand. No, he was looking to raise 300 grand. He's already raised 50. So I'm sitting in church negotiating with myself. Well, he already did 50, maybe I'll just add 50. And I'm trying to figure out like how much I'm going to give.
Yeah.
The number 300 was the exact number that I increased because of the delay. So this is the conversation that's going on, and like the lights on me, like I can't hide, and I'm like, oh crap, you got me, God, like 300K, shit, that's the number. And so that was Sunday. Tuesday, I haven't done nothing yet. Tuesday, I'm sitting, it's festering in my head, right? And I'm driving up to my home group. I'm in 12-step recovery. My FTC lawyer that I got sued by the FTC in 2012. He just called randomly, just to call me to check in randomly. Wow. I haven't talked to this guy in 8 years. Hey, Ryan, just want to call and check in. And I'm like, what the hell? This is crazy. I didn't think of anything.
Yeah.
Went to the meeting, came home, went to bed, woke up the next morning. As soon as I stepped into my shower, I started weeping, started crying hysterically. And I was like, holy shit, God. Like, I almost allowed my greed to not serve you. I got out of the shower, called Donnie, said, Donnie, come get this 300 grand before I change my. I'm like shaking because I've never done this type of giving before. I've never donated like this. Donnie's like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm dead serious. Hurry up and get over here. Hurry up, man.
Wow.
He came over. We cried. We prayed, and that moment was such a pivotal moment for me because that was when I really understood that my relationship with money has changed.
Wow.
My love for money changed.
Wow.
And then that's when money went from the love to a vehicle, to impact, to serve others, because he opened up a whole new location. He brought thousands of people to Jesus that never knew Jesus.
Wow.
And we talked about it. And it's okay that I share this just so that other people understand how important it is to give.
I think that more people have to share their giving stories also, because sometimes immediately there will be someone religious commenting and saying, oh, but you should keep that a secret, keep it to yourself, don't say it publicly. No, actually there are many instances in the Bible where it was public and it was made public, and we know who gave what. Like even in the New Testament, we know that Barnabas sold his house and gave it, and then he became an apostle. And those stories are in the Bible, and we should use those stories of our personal life and giving to inspire others, because maybe someone now is not able to give 100,000 or even 10,000 or even 1,000, but everybody can give something and everybody can do something. And what giving did for you is it free you on the inside, and that's what giving does. So everybody should definitely look into something they believe in and give back into it. So how did that feel after you wired that money, after you released them? What was the feeling like?
It was freedom. I really, really felt freedom.
You felt like, now I have mastered money.
Yeah. That was the moment. That was the turning point where I literally went from being hooked, being in love with it, like my whole identity was in money, to breaking free of that. And then from that point forward, I've made more money than I've ever made in my entire life.
Wow.
And so I feel like I've just received this abundance.
Wow.
And it's been such a beautiful experience. And through this journey, I also started to understand the value of investing in myself. Because so many people want to get ahead in life, but they don't invest in themselves. They don't spend the money that is necessary to spend. I mean, I've spent over 7 figures at this point, and Tony and Myron and Tim and all these high-level coaches, because I value me.
What's the best thing that you learned?
From all of them?
Yeah. So like, what's one common thing that all of them say that you feel like was a game changer for you, or just what stands out of that investment?
And this may seem like so simple, and the concept is very simple, but I think you'll understand it in a very deep way. Like really, really, really believing in myself.
Wow.
Like as crazy as that may sound, it sounds so simple because you hear it all the time. But like, think of it like, I'm going to start this business. What stops that person is they don't believe in themselves.
Exactly.
I want to become a speaker. What stops them? They don't believe in themselves.
Exactly.
I want to change the world. What stops them? They don't believe in themselves. I've learned that there's a fine line between being crazy and being a genius, and everybody will think you're crazy until you pull it off.
Yeah.
And so that believing in yourself is at the core of every decision that you make.
Wow.
And so being around Tony, being exposed, I started to believe in myself. I started to realize that like I have a gift. I started to see all of my deficits as my superpower.
Wow.
I started to see that I've been through so much as a child and through my teenage years that most people never go through in life. And the ability to create what I've created, having gone through that, is so powerful. I never thought that.
It's not just powerful, it's crazy.
I've never thought I could.
It's crazy.
I never, like, so like today I'm like looking back like, wow, that's my superpower.
Yeah.
For so long I was so ashamed.
Yeah.
I was so ashamed. If you really knew me, you would not want me. You would not be around me. You would disown me. You would throw me to the side.
Wow.
That's how I felt.
Wow.
Tim was actually another pivotal point for me because, so Melitza, God bless her, give a shout out to Melitza. She put on this event called Epic Talks.
Yeah.
So we were talking about doing business together, and I was helping her coach and just doing a bunch of stuff together. We were collaborating. And she says, hey, come down. I want you to meet Tim. He's the biggest speaker I've ever had. You got to meet him. Incredible guy. I says, cool, I'll come down. So I get down there. We're backstage. Tim comes in. You know Tim. He's got his swag. You know, Tim's Tim. And he's like, what's up, kid? I was like, what's up, man? He's like, what are you going to talk about? I had no idea I was speaking. And I was like, huh? I was like, called me on the spot. And I was like, I recovery, business, just transformation. I had no idea. And then Melissa's like, oh, by the way, you're going to speak tonight. And I'm like, okay, great. And then she's like, oh, and you're going to go after Tim. And I'm like,
oh,
okay, great.
gosh.
So as a speaker, when you go behind a rock star, you're like, I'm done. So I'm literally like committing suicide in my head. This is what's going on. I'm literally sitting in the back row. Tim's burning it down. People are screaming. I'm like, I'm screwed, man. Halfway through his talk, he says, I am in alignment with my assignment. And I swear I just got chicken skin. I swear I felt the Holy Spirit step into me and said, no, son, this is your moment.
Wow.
This is your moment. You're going after Tim because this is your moment.
Wow.
And I was like, and then all of a sudden I started to believe in myself. All of a sudden, all the teachings, all the coachings, all the mentorship that was given to me came back. And so Tim completed, leaves the stage, goes upstairs. I found this out after. 2 guys pulled him to the side. I come out there and I poured my heart out. Wow. Tim interrupted the 2 guys, said, hey, actually, guys, I'm going to go downstairs. I got to hear this speaker. I feel something in him. He comes in. He breaks into the front row. He moved people over. He sits down. He's literally on the edge of his chair, shaking his leg. I got this place going nuts.
Wow.
I'm like full on just pouring my heart out. And I get done. He literally like tackles me. Wow. He's like, son, you have a gift. And he's actually on my scissor reel. He's one of my opening on my scissor reel. And so I think about that because that moment, I would have never had this. I would have never been here if I didn't break through that limitation. And that was when Tim and I hit it off. And and now we've done amazing things together. We've helped a ton of people in many ways. And so I'm so grateful, and even being with you now, it's such a beautiful gift that God continues to just bless me.
We thank God for Tim's story. Seriously,
Amen. Thank God for Tim's story.
This man is so special. But I want to come back to what you were saying about you invested in yourself and in your personal development with these amazing leaders, to coach with them, to be in their programs. And many of us who do that, because even if you're a great coach, you still want to be coached. There is always something to learn.
Sure.
And you just want to be in an environment with people that pick you up as well. Like I have the 30-30-30 rule, that you give 30% to people whom you're raising up, then 30% you're with peers, and 30% you have to be with people who are ahead. And
I love that.
10% is just for you to be alone and, you know, enjoy and
slush fund.
Just enjoy
walking
your
around
life.
Money.
enjoy your life.
The incredible suits and the shoes.
But seriously, it's like people have asked me many times, like, do you really invest that much? I say yes, all the time, and I would do it over and over and over, because
100%.
the return is not even it couldn't even be compared.
Not at all.
It's amazing.
Think about it. So I invested and it's not even a lot of money. I invested $10K with Tim. Tim did a deal with me.
Awesome.
He was $25K. He's like, dude, I love who you are. He's like, I'll do it for $10K. I was like, cool.
And he probably gave it to his
Probably,
thing.
right? It was more principle than I think it was
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And I was down. I'm like, cool, I'll
Of
invest
course.
in myself.
Yeah.
We sat down. Because of that introduction, I spoke in front of 4,000 people just recently.
Come on now.
I would have never had that exposure. I would have never had those relationships to be able to have that opportunity because of my relationship with Tim, because of just investing in 10K, a small investment. I've been exposed to 18,000 people on stage because of Tim.
Oh my!
So think about that. Essentially, that's less than $1 a person. You know, leads and marketing. Marketing's $200, $300 a person.
Oh
so
my
my ROI is 1,000 times. And so it's so crazy. People are like, why aren't I getting ahead in life? Well, you're not investing in yourself.
Yeah.
You got to invest.
And investing in a person that could really develop into a relationship.
For sure.
Because I was on the phone with Tim coming here, because I talked to him like we're family, like real family. We talk a few times a week, like every week, wherever we are. If I'm in Bulgaria, he's in America, he's in Africa, whatever. We just call each other through time zones and talk for like 30 minutes. And he was saying, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to Ryan. He says, he's amazing. Say hello for me. He's a great guy to know. He's an amazing guy to partner with. And think about that. You're in someone's mind and heart. How much does that cost? Like, people don't realize the value of someone knowing you. I was talking to a very wealthy guy the other day. I was back home in Bulgaria. He says, you don't have any fears. I'm like, not that I can think of. Like, obviously, I'm sometimes worried about my kids, if they're sick, or, you know, just like the normal things, but not like I'm not having any panic or, you know, any phobias or stuff like that. He says, even like you're not scared of losing it all? I said, what do you mean by that? He says, like losing all your money or losing your house or a car, and then you are like penniless. He said, aren't you afraid of that? So I said, number one, no, but number two, that's impossible, and I'll explain why. I've given so much of myself to serving others and people that if, God forbid, something happened to me and I have not $1 in the bank and I don't have a house, I don't have a place to stay, I don't have a car, I have so many people that love me, so many people that I have loved and shared my life with, that I will have a place to stay, food to eat, and money to get my kids through school until I die. Like, if I never can work another day in my life.
Wow, that's so true.
Like, I could come to America and wash your car and I'll still make
Listen, you got a place at my spot.
But do you see my point?
100%.
It's like,
100%.
That's how I want to live my life, because I've seen things in life that are crazy. Like, I've seen a talented singer that is a friend of mine, and I coached him and I try to help him. He had like a brain aneurysm at 33. He cannot walk, he cannot speak, he cannot sing.
Jeez.
His money was in his singing. But he's alive. His family is alive. He's alive. I see him. I pray with him. I go and visit him. I bring food. I bring money to his house. Other people probably do it too that love him. He's alive because he had a friend. He has a friend. So do you have someone that really loves you for you? Do you have someone that really wants to serve you, right? And then if you want to go for someone who is at a high level, yeah, there might be a small entrance fee just because of time, just because it's a principle thing.
Sure.
But it's invaluable. To have people in your life, it's invaluable. It's the most precious thing. I love to say this. I wrote it in my book. The most valuable gift a person can give you is the gift of access.
So true.
Access to their life.
Wow.
Because if I know Jeff Bezos, I don't need him to give me money. I just know him.
Oh, that relationship is going to be 100 times more valuable
if I know Warren Buffett, I don't need him to give me stock. I just, if I have lunch with him, that's good.
That's so true.
So access is the greatest gift.
It's so true. And you also mentioned, and I think also to add to the access is, actually Werner Erhard talks about access, and I think it's so important. I think, as you're saying, being around high-level people or people that are further ahead than you are, they can condense time because they're giving you their perspective from today, having gone through all of what they've gone through. And I think the other thing that you said that is so powerful is the value of time. See, so many people don't realize that time is significantly more valuable than any dollar. Think of it. If I were to say to you right now, Maxim, I'll give you $1 billion right now, wired to your bank account, you would receive, you would accept, wouldn't you?
Of course, everybody would accept $1 billion.
Under one condition.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's your last day.
No.
You're giving back the $1 billion.
Of course.
So I just identified that one day of your life is more valuable than $1 billion.
Of course.
But how much time is people wasting on not developing high-level relationships, investing in themselves? So when you think about the dollars in your bank account, it's merely just an illusion.
That's so powerful.
The relationship that you're talking about is so much more powerful.
That's so powerful.
I believe, and this is a hallucination, you tell me if I'm lying, if I were to say, hey, I'm coming to Bulgaria, what would my life look like the time I'm with you?
I'll tell you. I can tell you how it will look like. So first, you will arrive at the VIP part of the airport. Then we'll take you from there. I will put you in the nicest hotel in town. You stay there. I'll take you to my house, and I'll take you to the best restaurants. And the most famous celebrity chef in Bulgaria, whom I coach, will cook for you. And I'll take you to amazing places, and you'll be just very happy. And then we go on to church on Sunday.
And so if you think about this, right? So that all that's amazing. The other piece is that the time that you would take to ensure is even significantly more valuable than that. So it's so crazy. People, if you're wondering why you're not getting ahead in life, is because you aren't allocating your resources in the right way, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah. And trying to serve them. Trying to serve people, like being hospitable.
That's so true.
In America, it's very interesting. Like, I find this, since I've been coming here more and more, you would meet someone and then say, hey, we should hang out. So if a Bulgarian says we should hang out, what they mean is like they already planned in their head where you're gonna eat and everything, right? In California is the worst with that. I met someone in California, they said, oh, you're amazing, da, 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 da. Next time you come, just tell us in advance, we want to meet you. Then I talked to another friend, he said, listen, this is just something that we say because we want to show you that we like you. But it's not like we really mean that we're going to make the time to go out or do it.
Right.
So it's like people are not that serious about relationships, about showing up. So you want to hear something very funny?
Yeah.
They'll probably watch it, but it's good for them to watch it and hear what I think. So I have a lady. She's from Bulgaria. So she comes to my church, right? So she's now in Miami. and I'm at the same time here. And she was so excited that I'm in Miami. And then I had a Bible study on Sunday. And she didn't show up for my Bible study. Like, she's from Bulgaria. She's in America. I'm in America.
Right.
And she didn't show up on my Bible study.
Wow.
Something happened. So, and then people are looking at like, oh, I'm looking for a job, or I'm looking for a connection, or I'm looking for a husband, or I'm looking for a wife, or I'm looking for a new friend, or I'm looking. Stop looking, get there. Get there, shake hands, open doors, do something, add some sort of value.
I love that.
And the last value is speaking, you know? Many people come in environments and they try to speak. Like, if someone wants to walk in here, like a younger guy who is excited to be around you, one of the temptations for him would be to prove his value by starting to talk. Like, Ryan, let me tell you something. La, 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 la. No, like, don't talk. Just ask questions and try to do something, like even practical. You know, I carried, when I'm with Tim, when we travel somewhere, I just take his bag. I'm not trying to impress him with my coaching words or ideas or, you know, sell him my newest business idea. No, I just take the bag. Let's be people of servanthood.
Wow.
Let's do something for one another. I like hugging people. I like telling people how good they look. I like bringing the coffee for them. Like, you're just coming in, you're saying, do you want coffee? Let me serve you. Let me do something for you. People don't realize how far that goes.
That's
One
so
of the
real.
wealthiest people I met, I'll say this and I'll wrap this up. One of the wealthiest people I met and that I befriended, I was flying business class and I see this gentleman, a little older. He was taking his bag to put it up in the overhead thing, right? So I said, sir, let me help you with that. That's all I did. So I took it and I put it there. And we were sitting next to each other. So one thing leads to the next. We just have a talk. And he says his name, right? But after he introduced himself, then the pilot comes. This is the pilot of the plane. He says, Mr. So-and-so, we're so honored that you are on our plane. I'm like, that's very interesting. Like,
Right.
I don't know the guy. So I remembered his name, and we're taking off, and he goes to the restroom. So we have the internet, right, in the cloud. So I'm going there. I'm writing his name. And then it says, one of the 100 wealthiest people in that country.
Wow.
He owns the two tallest towers in the capital city.
Jeez.
His family is like historically da 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 da. I'm reading all of this. I'm like, this is the guy sitting next to me.
Right.
I'm like, he should be on his private jet. He
Right,
probably
right.
has a fleet of them. So he comes back, he sits next to me. I say, sir, I was just, you know, wondering, because I know who you are. I said, why are you flying, you know, with this airline instead of, you know, probably have planes and stuff? He said, no, when I do the long flights over the ocean, I prefer to be in a bigger plane. Plus, he said, I'm part owner of this airline.
Oh my God.
So that's why everybody was like,
Oh, coming up
you
to
see-
him.
So he says, I fly for free. You know,
Oh,
I
my
fly
Lord.
everywhere for free.
God bless.
But I met him and I got to talk to him and I got his contact. And he said, whenever you're in my country, you know, I'll take care of you, because I took his bag.
Wow.
I just took the bag and
Yeah.
put it up there.
Something so simple and so basic.
Imagine if I was thinking like, who is this old guy? I'm the entrepreneur, young
Yeah.
speaker, whatever. No, if you're in yourself, you're staying at the level you're at. If you get into people, you're going higher.
That's so real. Maxim, thank you so much for being here today, brother. I love you, man. I'm so grateful
Thank
that
you.
you're in my life. And thank God for Tim's story, right?
Yeah.
Incredible, man. How can people find you?
So Maksim, we'll probably put it in the description.
Yep, put in the description.
With a KS, Maksim, Asenov on Instagram.
Yep.
And then obviously I have a website, but that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Instagram is the easiest way for me to
I
connect.
love that. Incredible coach, incredible father, incredible leader. I'm so grateful that you had the time to spend with me, my man. Anything you'd like to say in closing?
I'm very grateful for this conversation, and I learned so much, and it's a blessing to talk to you every time. I love your energy. I love the way you think. I love your vulnerability. I love your honesty, how direct you are. I think people really need a person like you in their life.
Wow.
And I'm grateful to have you in mine.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. God bless.
Thank you.
Give me a hug, man.
Oh my goodness. I think it was good.
Of course,
Are you happy with it?
Of course. Are you kidding me?